Welcome to Boomer Bust, the NFL Fantasy Podcast. We're live on YouTube again tonight, and I've got two top guests in Kyran and Martin. We've got all the latest injury news, who you should be picking up in the waivers, and the usual carry on from fantasy football. Make sure you get all our questions into us on YouTube. We'll answer them throughout the night. Kyran, we've got to start off with this one. The game of the season, possibly game of the decade, the Vikings at the Bills, or should I say the Justin Jefferson show. What was your thoughts?
Oh, Justin Jefferson is hands down the best wide receiver in the whole of football at the moment. And if there was ever an advertisement for newcomers coming to watch the NFL, then this was it. It was drama-packed down in the dying seconds. Jefferson just coming up trumps like he could. I mean, don't know about you guys, but that one-handed catch was just ridiculous. Like, that was OBJ levels of how in God's name did he catch that. I mean, you've got to look at the stats, and this is why Justin Jefferson, and we'll just go right to the point here. He's my boom for this week. It couldn't be anybody else. Unbelievable, right? 10 receptions, 10 from 10 targets, 193 receiving yards, and 1 touchdown to score a total of 35.3 fantasy points. It's this guy, and I read earlier on Twitter, and I think it's so accurate. Has anyone had a better first 3 years in the NFL than Justin Jefferson? Martin, where do we go with that? Like, for me, he's ridiculous. He's the best in the NFL right now.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think there's any denying that one. There's no competition. I mean, you talk about Cooper Kupp last year, and he won the Triple Crown. He was incredible, but he just can't touch Jefferson this year. In terms of the first 3 years, I think the last one to have such a massive impact in his first 3 years in the league is probably OBJ. Obviously, it kind of went a wee bit pear-shaped for him. He's looking to get back into the league now, but I really hope it doesn't happen to Jefferson. I'm really hoping he just keeps getting better and better. He can hit all new heights, especially with the longer season.
And if anyone's watching right there, I think Shug's got AI in his head. As soon as we said that Jefferson was the best wide receiver in the league, like Tyreek Hill just popped out his head onto the screen.
Dave's sleeping on the buttons again.
That game.
Unbelievable game. MDL should kind of stand out in there. I mean, for me and my fantasy team, Singletary, 2 touchdowns. He's one of these guys that just creeps up, gets the points for me now and again. He's just a decent player in there. 2 touchdowns for him. Fantastic work.
Yeah, I think in terms of Singletary, the Bills, it slides under the radar, their run game, because it's never really been the highlight of how they play. But in terms of Singletary, it seems to do it for you. He's one of these guys that you picked up, and I was kind of like, why is he starting them? But he just seems to creep up and do well for you. But between Jefferson and Diggs on the same field and on a game like that, it's frightening to watch. But fantasy-wise, Gabe Davis done absolutely brilliant for me. I've been clawing and scraping in my game, and when it went to overtime, I was like, oh, another chance for some catches for Gabe Davis. There was a one on the touchline where it probably looked like it was a dropped ball. It connected with the ground. The Bills
it looked like it because
it
was. It absolutely was a drop ball.
And do you know something? Yeah. Those 3 points could win me my game against number 1 in the league. So
amazing. I love it.
These are the kind of things you like.
So yeah. Let's move on then. Let's look towards the Cowboys. Unbelievable game, but Martin, I know you want to talk about the Cowboys. I know you want to talk about one player in particular. Talk to me.
You them boys?
It's not often that I don't want to talk about the Cowboys, and I've happened to come on a week where we've lost to a very, very poor Packers side. All things told, it was a great game. It was end-to-end stuff. Obviously went to overtime as well. It was really, really exciting. But the highlight of the show, my guy, my boom for the week, CD Lamb. What a show he put on. He had 11 receptions for 150 yards. That's a career high for him in his 3rd year in the league. And it just shows that he's only getting better and better. He's got a great relationship with DAK. He scored 2 touchdowns at vital times of the game to really keep the Cowboys in it. and one of them was just terrific. It was a long play. DAK found him perfectly, and over he went. I mean, for me, it's Lamb is just going from strength to strength. I mean, you've seen it when he was doing it with Cooper Rush. Sorry, you thought, okay, maybe he is the real deal. And now that he's got that chemistry back with the QB1, it's just incredible to watch. Unfortunately, it was on a loss this week, but if you've got Lamb in your team, which I do in one of my leagues, it's such a good time now.
Yeah.
How about them Cowboys, Martin? Come on, the G-men.
Listen, I predicted the Cowboys to have a 6-3 season at this point, and I'm still right so far. I didn't get any of the teams right for the most part, but it's been an up and down year.
And what did you predict the Jags?
Martin? Kyran, any chance you're going to let me speak tonight? You want to be hostess here? Take the mic. Take the mic now. So sorry about him, listeners. Total ignorance. Speak when you're spoken to.
Just you can't.
Sorry, everybody's coming off the back of a really big shift, but we'll give him a break. Kyran, yes. Now you can put your hand up. Christian Watson, what do you think? Biggest waiver wire pickup this week?
Mr. Hughes, can I speak?
Yes, you can.
No.
Go ahead.
I'm going to say no, but we'll get to that later on. I think he's going to be up there. He's going to be top 2-3 waiver wire pickup this week. It's the wide receiver performance that it's been cry out for at the Packers in terms of everybody's looked at Romeo Doubs, everybody's looked at Lazard. I know he didn't really do so great for you yesterday, Shug. But Watson, I'm looking here just now, 8 targets for 4 receptions, 3 touchdowns, 32.7 fantasy points. Next up is the Tennessee Titans, the number 29 in the league against the wide receiver. So he's going to be a great pickup, but I'm just not sure he's a great pickup in the long run. Coming into sort of playoff season, I wouldn't be going right out there and getting him, but we've got another name in the pile, which we'll get to later on. But another guy I liked in the game, I managed to trade for him a couple of weeks ago with this in mind, that Tyler Conklin's my tight end. So I managed to trade for Dalton Schultz, who I thought had an excellent game. I think he scored me just over 14 fantasy points. DAK seems to like him as a target, especially in that offense where Michael Gallup, Martin, you maybe agree here, doesn't really see as many targets as he should, considering how talented he is.
I mean, he's been obviously very much hampered by injury for the full season. He took a knock in the game last night. He was able to come back in, thankfully, which was good to see. But he's just not quite got it clicking yet this season. I think you're starting to see that bit of an emergence from Noah Brown as well. He's been relied on quite heavily by both DAK and Cooper Rush when he was under centre. So I think he's just seen some competition for targets, which you think he should be coming out on top of. I think the only person in that offence that should really be seeing more targets than him is CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, 100%. But minor bump in the road for the Cowboys, I think, mate.
Minor. You said it there, mate. Minor. We'll come back swinging.
Big inside.
You better hope so. Anyway, moving on. Let's go all the way to Germany. The Seahawks against the Bucks. Now, we spoke about this last week, Kyran. We've been bigging up the Seahawks now, but it was the Bucks that stole the show.
Yeah, I thought it was, well, both of us, we thought the Seahawks would roll right over the top of them. Yep. Brady turned up. I think he had an excellent game yesterday. But one man, you asked me 2 minutes ago, who did I think the waiver wire pickup of this week was going into week 11? 110% Rachaad White. There's no doubt about it. He out-carried Fournette yesterday, 22-14 carries. He was announced as a starter in the game, and he played 65% of snaps. All right. Next up, after their bye, they've got the Browns. And then you've got to look at further ahead for Rachaad White, the playoff picture. Week 17, they've got Carolina Panthers. And then week 18, they've got the Atlanta Falcons. So at the moment, he's available in over 70% of leagues. I mean, yesterday, okay, stats aren't maybe glowing, but he passes the eye test. This guy's a very good player, and you don't outsnap Leonard Fournette. Yes, okay, he got an injury, but that as well could play in his favour. We don't know the status of Fournette going into week 11. So, yeah, Rachaad White, I think he should be number one waiver wire pickup this week.
What do you think, Martin? You agreeing with that one?
I see where Kieran's coming from, absolutely. I would be more inclined to take Christian Watson than Rachaad White. White is a terrific running back. An offence that's been, again, up and down sort of so far this season. He's lightning fast. He's a powerful runner. 105 yards on 22 attempts. It's insane. You put a touchdown on there and you're calling that a really, really strong fantasy week. 10.5 points for my rookie. Yeah, you're not expecting probably too much more than that, but you put a touchdown on top of that, which he probably did deserve from his showing yesterday. You think that's a good turn up in terms of Watson himself, but 4 receptions on 8 targets for over 100 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also had one massive drop that could have been another long score, so it could have been even higher. I think with that one is, yeah, he's still pretty raw, but you can see that Aaron Rodgers is really starting to trust him, and he doesn't have many other options in there. You know, he's been hampered by injuries around him in his receiver room. And Lazard, again, he's been the number one guy. Didn't do it at all yesterday. Watson is really, really on the up and up, and I think that's who I would be targeting.
Fair enough. Moving on, the Broncos, another poor day for them. Not only did Luke go down 17-10, quite a bit of news in the fantasy side of things. Judy injured, and Martin, will come to you this time. Is it time Russell Wilson goes straight to the waivers for any Russell Wilson owners? Is it time to give up?
Sadly, yes. I've been a big Russell Wilson guy. I think I was on the very first episode of the podcast and I was talking him up and up for about an hour, and I've been shown up to be a right idiot for that one. So, yeah, I think it is time. I've got him in one of my leagues, which is a super flex league. So it's essentially 2 quarterbacks. I'm not dropping him there because he is obviously still a starting quarterback in the NFL. He can put up decent points compared to the most of your wide receivers, running backs, tight ends. But in any kind of standard 1 quarterback league, get him on the waiver wires. You can get so many quarterbacks better than him.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kieran, another guy, Westbrook Akina. I kind of like the look of him. 2 touchdowns. You fancying him?
I'm not. There's just something in there that it's quite unpredictable with the Titans at the moment in terms of they're always going to be heavy on the run. I don't know. It just seems to be Derrick Henry or nothing there. I know yesterday's a wee bit of a turn up for the books with Akina getting the 2 touchdowns, but for me, I've got to see it over a sustained period. I just don't see it at the moment. There was I can't remember his name. What's the other running back again? Pass catching running back at the Titans.
Hilliard
seemed to play a wee part yesterday as well when Henry wasn't in the game. So, yeah, Westbrook Akina, a good player, but I just can't see him fitting into any teams at the moment. I know there's a few buys and folk with Juju that's going to be out. So, yeah, it's not for me. Not for me.
It seems to be popping up there. There's 1 or 2 players just pop up every week, and they're not really worth that punt. They're just 1 week to really put up those points, isn't it? It's not really... it's not really a sign that this is going to be a guy that's going to, that's worth taking a real. We've seen that over the last few weeks, haven't we?
Yeah, he's not that guy for me at the moment. I look around the league and there's maybe better pickups, but you look at the Broncos as well across the field. Courtland Sutton, I wouldn't be bagging on him. Jerry Jeudy, now down injured. We're not really sure what his status is. The Broncos are in a hell of a state at the moment. They just don't seem to be getting anything going whatsoever. A win every now and again, but they're a very poor side, and they took a huge gamble in the Broncos, and I'll tell you what, the Seahawks haven't half come out and top in that trade.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on, another classic game yesterday. Lions really showed what they talk about, that grit. They get the 31-30 win against the Bears. For me, Cole Kmet, big performance though for the Bears. Again, he's produced at tight end. Fields, again, producing at quarterback on a week where we were very uncertain about quarterbacks. But for me, Cole Kmet, brilliant again for me. 23.4 points for us. Really helped me get the victory this week. What's your thoughts on him, guys? Kieran, I'll start with you.
We spoke about it a couple of weeks ago. I think, was it last week's show that he emerged and we were debating whether or not you could put him in your team, a bit like the Westbrook-Akina conversation we've just had, that Kemet would have to show over a favourable amount of games. Now, when you look at how well Justin Fields is playing, and he's thrown to Kemet quite a lot, looks like a favourable target between him and Darnell Mooney. He's been unbelievable. Targeted 7 times for a tight end. That's real estate right there. That is a very, very profitable tight end. So, yeah, Kemet's a brilliant pickup. If he's not rostered in your league, then go and pick him up. But you've got him now, Shug. Maybe chap the door, see if we can do a deal.
You need to offer a lot, and I know what your trades are like, so he's staying put. He's staying put for now.
Sitting third and moving up, don't you worry about it.
That's it. Well, another one we predicted, Jags, the Chiefs, beat the Jags 27-17. Other fantasy relevant news in here with the Juju injury. Is Tony the replacement for him, Martin? What do you think of that?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, Juju, he's been quite solid since he went to Kansas, and he's put up decent numbers. Not scoring too many touchdowns, which is kind of what you came to expect from the early days in Pittsburgh. But he's there and thereabouts. He's doing it, you know. But I think Tony has got the natural ability to be just as good. He's kind of, they brought him in, I think, because he's the kind of Tyreek Hill blueprint. He's a speed demon. He'll make himself available for Mahomes, and if he gets himself open, you know what Mahomes is like. He's just insanely accurate, big powerful arm as well. So yeah, I mean, I think I seen the news that the Juju injury isn't as kind of serious as they first thought. He probably won't be out for long if he is going to miss sort of any time at all. But I still think, even with Juju on the field, you'll probably see a lot more of Tony. They've traded for him. They clearly see something they like. So, yeah, I think you're starting to see a big target timeshare in the Kansas City offense. You've got Travis Kelce, who is the guy. And then you've got these kind of middling wide receivers in Valdez-Scantling, Smith-Schuster, and now Tony. They already had Mecole Hardman as well there, who is just always there or thereabouts. He just pops up with these numbers on a weekly basis, and sometimes he's one of those players you hate because you never have him rostered, and he'll take points away for you when you've got one of these bigger names.
Yeah. Kieran, any other relevant fantasy guys in there for you?
Martin mentioned him. I think Valdez-Scantling is the better pickup than Tony in this case. He got the touchdown at the weekend for the Chiefs. So Smith-Schuster is one to watch to see if he's going to be out, but Valdez-Scantling looks like a solid pickup, even a sort of wide receiver flex role. But it's a gutter for me. Smith-Schuster's been one of my best players in fantasy football, round about the past few weeks especially. It took him a while to sort of get going, but past few weeks he's been outstanding. So for me, yeah, if Tony's out there and you're struggling for a wide receiver, go and get him. But there's something about Valdez-Scantling says to me that he's the better pickup.
Another good one in that game, Christian Kirk. We've spoke about him recently. Kieran, what's your thoughts on that guy? That's one we've kind of touched on him. I traded him off at one stage. I'm sort of regretting it now because he's hit a bit of form. What do you think of this? Is this a guy that fantasy players should be going out and trying to get?
I think now there's no chance because 2 weeks ago you would have been probably buying low on him given his form. What was it, 2 or 3 weeks ago? He hadn't really been doing it. Now he's just hit a peak. He's really doing well. That connection between him and Trevor Lawrence is really hitting its heights now. He's a fantastic player. He's starting to see the targets which we thought he would have seen. The run game might have suffered slightly. Etienne had more of a quiet game yesterday. But no, Christian Kirk, I think, is really coming into his own in that Jags offense. So if you've got him and you fancy trading away, then you're going to be selling high here. You might be able to get someone a wee bit better. But I think they're slim pickings now. in terms of wide receivers in fantasy football.
Yeah. I'm moving quickly on. A big win for the Dolphins. Again, they just keep swimming away, don't they? Got to be very
like a
big
cheeser on your face, man.
Got to be big contenders, those Dolphins. Now you're taking them seriously. Now you're sitting up.
They've not been taking this serious since the first Ace Ventura.
Kyran, in fantasy news, there was a couple in there. I'm going to ask your thoughts on them. Touchdowns for Alec Ingold and Trent Shergar. What do you think of those touchdowns?
Absolute fantasy fraudsters.
Yeah.
I was absolutely raging, right? Because I've got Jeff Wilson in my team and I had a coupon on that had Raheem Mostert. So the Dolphins are going down the field. I think Wilson took it halfway down the field, and I think it was, am I right here, Martin, the Ingold touchdown? I was like, he's just going to run it in straight in the end zone, fantasy points for me. And then I'm like, who the hell is this guy stealing my points? That's over 30 points between Sheffield and Ingold. Unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable.
No. Martin, I would say you're the guy that knows this league inside out. Who the hell are these guys? Where did they come from? They won a prize?
Well, just obviously, they're guys lower down in the depth chart. You see them popping up every now and again, but the fact that both of them came out and done it in sort of one game, it's just even more annoying when you've got the likes of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, even Mike Gesicki, who is going to be in. They're all going to be in the majority of fantasy lineups, and if they're rostered, they're starting. And he's coming in there. It's just fantasy all over, It's just what you hate to see, unless it's your opponent.
Exactly.
I know, 100%. That's a heartbreaker in fantasy football. Imagine you lost your game and it was because Sheffield or Ingold was stealing touchdowns.
It's brutal. It's brutal. But this is why we choose to play it, isn't it? We love the heartbreak.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Kyran, I can't really skip by the next game as much as Martin maybe would want me to, but your Giants, another victory. Anything you want to say on that?
Unbelievable. We just grind out results. I think this game, though...
It wasn't unbelievable. It was the Texans.
I know. We're getting to that, though. I think in terms of this, it was one of the most straightforward games of our season. The Texans are a poor side. Just went about our business nicely like we have all season. Brian Daboll so animated on the sideline. Like, you've seen him going crazy. I think it was one of the penalties against the team. And that's what the Giants have been missing for a long time. But the Texans, a weird one as well. A guy that didn't feature last week, Brandon Cooks, who seems to have thrown a stripped to the captaincy before the game. So if you're a fantasy owner there, you're thinking, right, they've stripped him to the captaincy, he's not going to see a thing, and then he pops up with a touchdown, and you're like, oh, so there might have been a wee bit of heartbreak for fantasy owners of Brandon Cooks there. But Saquon Barkley, excellent again. Daniel Jones, very efficient. Who thought we would be saying that? I can't even say his name. Darius Slayton.
Darius Slayton, yeah.
Darius, rest in peace, Darius. Or Darius Slayton. I know. Yep. Nah, we've done well. We're moving into dangerous grounds here. So, Shug, when the Giants go marching on.
We'll move on quickly. Now, one team that, forgive me, this is not a dig at you boys, but I'm tearing my hair out with the Saints this year. For anyone listening to the podcast, I think you can guess what their haircuts are like. Now, first guy
listen, Firmino, that's enough.
First guy I'm going to talk about, the Saints going down 2010 to the Steelers, which again we didn't predict. Shock. One guy that frustrated me, my bust for the week, Landry, just never produced for me again. He's been a frustrating one. He was in there. Really no somebody I'll be counting on at all this season. But he wasn't the only one in that Saints team that's frustrated. Kyran, any other ones for you?
Yeah, my bust was also in this game, and it goes by the name of Alvin Kamara. It's got to be his poorest game this season, and if there was ever a game you were going to bank on, it was this one. The Steelers without Minkah Fitzpatrick, you just thought that anyone in that Saints offense was going to score big, and who would have thought the Steelers would come out 20-10 winners? But you look all over the field, Chris Olave done nothing as well, took a horrible challenge right enough. It looked like he was going to be out the game, but gladly he came back in. But so poor in terms of Kamara, 7.5 points. He's usually your plug and play, your banker in fantasy football, and it was a poor game for him. And I think a lot of fantasy owners will have lost their game because of him this week. That's just not really good enough. But I wouldn't go trading him away. He's going to still be good for the rest of the season. But yeah, Kamara this week is my fantasy bust.
Martin, what do you think on the Steelers, on the Saints story? Those players, those weapons, Kamara, Landry, Olave, would you be giving up hope on them, or do you think they're still, very relevant players and ones you'd be sticking around with?
I mean, Olave and Kamara, yeah, you stick by them. They've had very, very good seasons. You're not going to just drop them out stubbornness because of one bad game. Landry is someone that I remember having high hopes for at the beginning of the season, sort of pre-draft. I was sort of taking him as a sleeper, a late round sleeper, because he was coming into this Saints offense that was seemingly a well-oiled machine. They lost Michael Thomas. Chris Olave's really stepped up, and Landry's just been middling at best. He's kind of been floating around. I think he's had a few injuries as well, missed a bit of game time, but really, really poor from a guy who's made a good career in the NFL. He's been very reliable, no matter sort of what team he was on, and now just not there anymore. I think he's clogging up a bench if you decide to keep him.
So I take it you won't be answering if I'm chatting at your door with Landry tonight?
Depends who else you're throwing in along with him,
We'll see.
Shug, I'm just seeing here we've had a wee comment. Greg from the G4 studio. Hello, boys. Just checking in. Greg, the fact we're sitting here and we've been kicked out for Jackie McNamara, we're not happy, mate.
Yes, we are.
Let us in.
That's a joke, man. We're sitting in the house. House is freezing.
Listen, we do anything we need for Jackie Mac. Anything he wants.
Speak for yourself.
I know.
But anyway, always good to have you listening, Greg. Keep the comments coming. Keep the questions coming in. We'll get to them in a wee second. Next game up, Cardinals, 27-17 winners over the Rams. Martin, I'll come to you in this one. A bit of disappointing for you?
Don't get me started, Shug. I am a terrible, terrible gambler. Terrible. And not that I'm putting on too much or have any sort of addiction, far from it. I'm just very bad at it. So I decided I'll put on a wee 6 touchdown scorer for the late games. I had Dalton Schultz. Oh, Chris, you're going to need to help me here. Dalton Schultz, James Conner, Jonathan Taylor, 2 other jobbers, and Tyler Higbee. Tyler Higbee couldn't catch a cold in the end zone. I was not happy. The Rams put up a touchdown within the last play of the game. I seen it going over, seen a big guy running towards it. I was out my seat. I was so happy. It was Van Jefferson. That was it. That was it for me. I was done with it after that until next week.
And so your bust actually came from that game as well?
He did indeed. It's the one and only Mr. Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
So disappointing. I mean, I don't have him in any of my leagues. I've been so gutted about that up until last night. You just always expect magic for Cooper Kupp from a wide receiver who won the Triple Crown last season and was just out and out the best guy in football. No matter what position you're talking about, he was the best. To put up three receptions for -1 yard. What? Are we talking about the same Cooper Kupp here? I mean, I know he went down injured again. Yeah, they've got good news, I think, the Rams, in that it is not as serious as they first thought. But come on. I know if you're in a full PPR league, 2.9 points. it should be minus 2.9. You should be getting points taken off you for that. It was shambolic.
Yeah. Got to agree with you there. And Kieran, Ertz injured as well in the game. What impact
this is a biggie. Yeah, this is a biggie. Martin, do you have Ertz? Am I right in saying that? No,
I don't have him.
Nah, it's a biggie. In fantasy football this year, like big play tight ends have been scarce, and Ertz is a fantastic player. He's done excellent yesterday. A return of 115.6 points in the season so far has been excellent, but it looks like he's going to miss some time with a knee injury. Looking around the league, tight ends, we mentioned them earlier. Cole Kmet's probably the one that you'll go and look on waiver wires for. He's probably not rostered in a lot of leagues, but he's going to be quite a high pick, given the failings of a lot this year, and that we're going to have a few a few bye weeks next week. So it is a biggie. It's Cup as well across the field. Martin touched on it. I think although that they got the good news that it's not as bad as first seemed, I think he's going to miss some weeks as well. So Van Jefferson, if he's out there, go and get him. He's probably one that slid under the radar. But Toasty's actually put in the comments and hot off the press is that Eno Benjamin has been released by the Cardinals. That's a shocker.
That's a surprise. I didn't expect to see that one coming out.
I know, especially James Conner, in terms of his rib injury. He's now came back. A lot of the sort of experts were saying last week buy low on Conner, so it's probably that he's now fully fit. They thought, right, we'll sort of pull the trigger here. We'll offload Benjamin. Is it possible they're looking to bring someone else in? I'm not so sure, but nah. It's a sore one and a lot going on at the Cardinals. I thought Rondell Moore had a solid game as well. Yep. Seems to be a pretty favourable target, but this game was horrible given that the two quarterbacks were out.
Yeah. I'm looking through the last couple of games in the league. Colts beating the Raiders 25-20. Devontae Adams putting up some good points for the Raiders. I was quite nervous because my opponent had him. But Raiders again still struggling to get those results, aren't they, Martin?
Yeah, when you bring in a player like Devontae Adams, you think it's all just going to come together. Just didn't work. Foster Moreau, that was another one that was on my coupon. He managed to get in and out the scoring. He's been slowly but surely just getting better as a big tight end in Las Vegas. The Colts have been specifically very, very disappointing, obviously, and they've brought in Jeff Saturday, who, me personally, having been into the NFL for just over 10 years now, had no idea who he was. Not a clue. There's a lot of outrage, a lot of coaches and media personnel who are saying that it's ridiculous to just hire your drinking buddy as a head coach, even on an interim basis. He's proved them wrong now. You know, he's went out and got a difficult win in his first game in charge. Jonathan Taylor, obviously, coming out and doing the business. Big touchdown run for him to put the Colts into a really good position. So I think for the Vegas Raiders, it's the defense that's letting them down. So they really need to tighten up that ship and let Adams do stuff.
Absolutely.
Jeff Saturday's the most suspicious name ever, isn't it? Dare I say
it's terrible, isn't it?
See, when they're doing the entrances at the start and they're running through the cheerleaders, they should leave him till last and play like Elton John's Saturday Night's Alright for Fighting coming out. Could you imagine it? Saturday comes busting out. That Brill Cream wet look. Brill Cream wet look, gel look.
Kieran, the last game, another win for the 49ers, beating the Chargers 22-16. Not too much to report. Not a ridiculously big game in that one. CMC putting up decent points and decent enough points, but 49ers are ticking along nicely.
They are, right, but I expected so much more from this game in terms of points, given that 49ers offense. Up there with the Dolphins in terms of offensive weapons, but a very, very interesting stat from this one. Eli Mitchell on his return out-snapped CMC. That is one to watch. That is really one to watch. But on the other hand, man, imagine having the two options at running back. Scary good. But 22-16, not one to ride home about. The Chargers tipped to Super Bowl winners at the start of the season. I just can't see them doing it at this point. We're beyond the halfway point, and they've not been firing. I feel for them about Keenan Allen injuries, as well as Mike Williams. But in terms of the 49ers, Martin's guy, Ayuk, coming up again, over 12 points this week. He's a solid fantasy player. Martin, I'm still chapping the door. Are you answering?
I'll always answer the door, mate, but you're not getting in unless you come with some big, big money.
I've got a guy called Eli Mitchell. More snaps than CMC.
Keep trying, mate. Keep knocking. No.
Yeah. Shug. What about Martin this week? He's got a win.
I know. Unbelievable.
We brought him on the pod so he can celebrate.
Big win for you. Open top bus.
Oh, absolutely. Well, no. In fact, it will be right through Airdrie, because that's where Drew lives as well. Right by his front door.
I wouldn't be taking an open top bus in Airdrie, to be honest with you.
Martin comes out on top in the Excelsior Derby.
The penny cabs derby.
He's too busy playing mini golf. Anyway, Kieran, you got any questions for us coming in? Kieran's our tech guy, since I don't know how to look at them. But Kieran, you got any questions coming through?
We have with Greg Rudder again. He's saying, can I get a special mention for sticking by Justin Fields over Allen? And the only reason I'm saying this is because he actually asked me during the week, who should I go with as a replacement if Allen is injured? And I said, look, it's touch and go with Allen at the moment. I'd stick with Fields. He's got a good matchup. And look at him. Justin Fields, over 100 points in his past 3 games. Frightening, absolutely frightening. We've also had a comment from Muscleman360. That is one hell of a name. Certainties in life, death, taxes, Chargers getting pumped.
Oh, well.
Let's see. We have had a wee bit of a debate as well. Toasty's saying that George Pickens is better than Chris Olave. I don't know about that. I think he's high.
Wrong. Toasty's wrong. Why else is new?
Said that in the pod? How often have we said that? Let me see. Have we got more? Stevie Watt is saying, nearly dropped both Lawrence and Kirk, but looking half decent now. 50% of my matchup points this week so far. So there you go. Sometimes it's just about being patient in fantasy football. Martin, you're shaking your head. Why? Oh no, wait, this is delayed. Are you shaking your head, or do you just don't fancy them?
I can't remember what I shook my head at, but it wasn't that. I'm quite pleased to hear that. That's decent, and you don't really expect big points for the Jags against the Chiefs. You expect that to be an absolute walkover. So fair play getting big points off of Lawrence and Kirk.
Yeah, definitely, but not much more coming in. Keep the comments coming. We enjoy answering them. Give us more fantasy dilemmas. And if you're watching and you're not a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button. Am I right, Shug?
Absolutely. Get subscribing, get our viewers up, share it on all your chats. Just let's try and get the numbers in and enjoy it. And as Kieran said, interact with us, send in the questions, and get the debate going there.
If you think we're rotten, tell us as well.
Aye, we are.
Oh, don't do that. No. I can't take that sort of abuse.
If we get enough subscribers, I'll buy Shug a new slow cooker. That's better than Russell Wilson.
No, that one's purring away nicely, but an air fryer would be really nice.
What's in it? What's in it tonight?
If you get me in a Secret Santa, get me in the air fryer.
Martin's on you go, mate.
I went for a bit of peri-peri chicken in there earlier.
Oh, nice.
That does the job.
Good choice.
So
maybe we'll get an invite.
Maybe we'll start a cooking pod.
It would better serve the general public, that's for sure.
Right, well listen, we're going to stop for a quick advert on here. Or are we, Dave? What's happening?
We definitely are not.
Well, it says on the notes. We've got an ad.
I'm having a technical nightmare back here, I can't even tell you.
Anyway, moving on. let's get a couple of other questions going. So, Germany, game in Germany this week, it's became the NFL's top market in Europe, selling more products, video games, and Game Pass subscriptions in the UK. Is it time, guys, I'll start with you, Kieran, is it time that Germany seen more games in London, given those facts?
This is going to be a wee bit controversial given the sort of guessing stuff that we've had on and a lot of our followers, but yes, I think it should be. I think London's had its time. I think it's time for Munich to have a go. I thought yesterday the atmosphere was unbelievable in terms of when I watch the London games. Yeah, it's brilliant, it's good, it's a spectacle, but it doesn't quite hit the atmosphere that I'm looking for. It almost feels exhibition-like, whereas in Munich, my God, like the boos and the cheering on like for third downs and stuff, it was deafening. And even Tom Brady coming out after the game saying it was one of his highlights of his whole time playing in the NFL says a very lot for Munich. You looked around the stadium, the tunes were unbelievable as well. We had Jay-Z and Kanye to ABBA to Country Roads. Like that's my kind of playlist.
Yeah,
but no, it was a fantastic spectacle, and I seen a wee leaked picture, or well, it looked like a leak on Twitter earlier that the Chiefs might be coming next year. It was a billboard that said "coming soon" and a car driving past it in Munich. So you're talking top tier team in the NFL going to Munich, so they must mean business going there. It's like you said, Chuck, it's a bigger market. They're going to make money. We're now moving towards, are we looking at a European league? I'd be all for that. I'd be all for that more than I would be having one franchise in London as part of the NFL.
Yeah. Martin, what was your thoughts? What do you think? Do you think Germany is probably the more natural home for NFL over here rather than ahead of London?
I'm going to disagree with Kieran there. I don't think it should be starting to get more games than London. I mean, London has got a fantastic track record. They've got obviously the state-of-the-art stadium, the new Spurs stadium with the NFL pitch conversion in there. You've got teams like the Jags who have got a massive following. Roger Goodell himself has said that it could be about time that London might get its own franchise. I understand what Kieran's saying about having the likes of the resurrection of the NFL Europe. That would be a lot of fun, but you want to see a London team kicking it with the big boys, I think, as well. I think that would be fantastic. And if you keep investing in London and keep it going and run Germany alongside it like they're going to, they've got that through, I think it's 2025. You keep going like that, it paves the way for Germany to just grow bigger and bigger. That will certainly get extended past 2025, and you never know, Germany might even get their own franchise in the big boy NFL after that. I mean, they've got a fantastic following there based on the time. I think it was the early to mid 90s from the original NFL Europe. There was 5 franchises in Germany alone. I don't think they were all at the same time, but you can just tell there that they've got a huge fandom.
Yeah, and I think you kind of touched on that point. I mean, Kieran, you're quite right in saying the atmosphere was incredible, but I think you could turn it on, and as Martin said, London's got a track record. They've had quite a few games. If it was the other way about and we had one game in London and all the hype would have been on that, possibly with that bigger atmosphere, Tom Brady coming to the game that's also a factor. So would it have probably been switched and the atmosphere would have been even better at London if the majority of games had been Germany, if you see what I mean? Because this was a one-off, the first one, do you think that got extra sort of hype?
Possibly, but Tom Brady playing in London, you'd get wee idiots like Martin booing him, so...
Deservedly so. Did you see that route he tried to run? Fell flat on his face. I have never laughed so hard in my life. Oh, it was perfect. That old man trying to run a route. Brilliant to see him fall.
What were they thinking? I know they tried to run the play before it, and he stood on his own. He was like, he had the most space out of anybody in the whole entire stadium, and they didn't throw it to him. The next one, they panic and Fournette tries to throw it. He ends up on his arse and then gets done for tripping. I mean, it's funny, the first game in Munich, and that's going to be one of these things it's almost like when he tried to do the catch against the Eagles in the Super Bowl a few years ago. Was that the Eagles? Am I right in saying that? They tried at that one? Or was it the game before, the playoff game before that? It's going to be one of these highlighted things of a fail in Brady's career that happened in that first game in Munich. But Brady's Brady, comes up trumps and he gets the win. And I thought it was a fantastic spectacle. It's one of these ones I'd much prefer to go to Munich than I would to London and watch a game.
Potentially. I mean, I think Munich and Germany, they do sporting events very, very well. That is always going to be a different sort of atmosphere, but it's hard. I think it's hard to say that Germany deserves it more than England. But we're just seeing a question come in from Jamie, aka Toasty. Speaking of old men trying to run, can we get an update on Martin's flag football team? For anybody that's not listened before, Martin plays flag football. Let's get a wee update. How's the team doing? How are they shaping up? Tell us a wee bit about it.
I tell you what, guys, it's looking good, feeling good. We're about to go into Winter League. It's 2 weeks yesterday to the first game at Winter League. It's at the Orium in Edinburgh, all indoors. We've got 5 games on game day 1. Grangemouth Colts, we're looking good. We're going for it. Come along and watch us if you're about.
I mean, the Orium was built to develop elite sport in Scotland, and then it's what you're on about playing pig.
Tells you all you need to know, mate. Listen, I'll get our Phoebe back on here to give you a telling off if you call it tig again.
No, listen, no disrespect. I'm sure. I wouldn't mess with half the players in that game.
Show him some respect, Shug. Grangemouth is Scotland's Springfield. He's representing.
That's the power plant.
The Grangemouth Isotopes.
If any of your players get 3 years.
Have they what?
If any of your players get 3 years.
Clearly not you if you didn't hear him.
We've got another question, guys. Just come in.
Well, let's see. Question for the panel. I take it that's us. Who's better, Dak Prescott or Justin Fields? Kieran, I'll start with you because I know what answer I'm getting off Martin. Dak Prescott or Justin Fields?
The right answer.
The right answer. Okay. If we're talking fantasy football and we're talking current form, it's Justin Fields all over it. He has been absolutely frightening. I have got no doubt anyone that's picked him up this year is sitting saying my best pickup of fantasy football 2022 has been Justin Fields. He's scoring upwards of 30 points 2 weeks in a row. He's playing out his skin at the moment. And I think if we look forward to next year's draft, when you're looking at quarterbacks, you're looking at a guy that's going to sit in the bracket with Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Allen, that you're going to be looking to pick up. In terms of scoring points in fantasy football, he can do it with the arm, he can do it with the legs. So for me, if I've got the choice in my draft, am I taking Justin Fields? Am I taking Dak Prescott? Of course I'm taking Justin Fields.
Martin, talk to me.
Blinded by love. Here we go.
No. If even taking Dak out the argument, right? If you think in any realm that Justin Fields is the same caliber of quarterback as the likes of Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, you are you're nut.
Did I say that?
You said next season he could be going around about that same point.
Yes.
In fantasy football. It's nowhere near it. Not anywhere near it.
Yes, he did compare them.
But no, am I right in saying this? The past 6 weeks that Justin Fields has been QB1 in the whole of fantasy football?
I could not tell you. Are you? Sounds like you're asking yourself that question.
No. I am. I was looking for a response. He has QB1 in the past 6 weeks of fantasy football. Justin Fields is on absolute fire just now. He's going to win people their leagues.
I don't disagree with that. He's going through a good bit of form just now, absolutely. But see, over the last 2 games, he had 2 monster touchdown runs. I think one of them was 60 odd yards and the other one was between 40 and 50 maybe. Touchdown runs back to back. You take those points out of that, it's just a standard quarterback performance. I know it's all ifs and buts. He's not. He is a dynamic quarterback. He can do it with his legs, but he's not going to rip off massive plays like that, big chunk plays, and have big yardage gains every single week. I think with DAK, I'm disappointed in how little he has run this season when he's been fit, because it was something that the Cowboys have said they were planning for this season. There was talk that from McCarthy that it was going to be a lot more design runs for DAK, and you can see it. DAK's a powerful runner. Yeah, he's not got the same kind of electric pace and movement as the likes of Justin Fields, but he's a big boy. You try and take him down, you're going to take 2 or 3, so to not see that, and the fact that DAK is doing all of that performing with his arm, it's just better. He's just a better quarterback overall.
Yeah, true, but in fantasy football, Fields, right? So here, week 10, 39.38 points, week 9, 42.72 points, week 8 against your Cowboys, 26.04 points, week 7, 23.36. That's incredible figures. That's outscoring guys like Lamar Jackson, Allen, Mahomes, Dak Prescott. You look at them for the run-in,
like I say. Ahead of those guys? Is that what you're telling me?
The past 6 weeks, I would.
Not if you had the choice Kyran, for a trade right now, you would do it.
You've got Lamar Jackson.
You've got Lamar Jackson. Put your money where your mouth is. Somebody offer him Justin Fields for Lamar Jackson.
Oh, I would honestly think about it, right? Because listen, see if you get into the playoffs, right? Week 17, Detroit Lions, number 32 in the league against the quarterback. Week 18, which could potentially be a final. Minnesota Vikings, number 24 against the quarterback. Even next week, Atlanta Falcons, number 23 in the league against point-scoring quarterbacks.
I tell you what, Kyran, you've said that if you get that offer, you'll think about it. You will think about it because of the recent scoring from Justin Fields. It's been very, very impressive, like we've said, but consistency is key. And Lamar Jackson has been doing it consistently since he joined the NFL. This could be a very, very good hot streak for Fields that could come to an end. He's been touted to be a very good quarterback literally since he joined the league, and he's only just showing it. I mean, that could go away just as quickly as it came about. You're more likely to get the sustained excellence from the likes of Lamar Jackson, Pat Mahomes.
Right, I'll ask you this, right? I'll ask you two this, right? If you're offered Dak Prescott or Justin Fields right now in fantasy football, who are you taking?
In fantasy, Fields, just now.
Yes. Shug.
Right now, yeah, I'd take Fields right now. But you're also saying next season, if it came up the draft next season, I'm taking Dak ahead of Fields.
Absolutely.
Oh, you're not. No way, man.
100% am. Yeah.
And going back on something else, we had a wee bet at the start of the season as well, Martin. Saquon Barkley.
We did indeed.
He wouldn't outscore Tony Pollard or Ezekiel Elliott.
No, I'm going to shoot myself in the foot here, because what I actually said was that both Pollard and Zeke would finish higher than him in the fantasy rankings at the end of the season. And obviously Pollard's been doing brilliant, but so has Saquon, and Zeke has just been floating on by and making me look like a right dick.
We'll agree to disagree here.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, let's move on. Our next question, I'm going to ask you to do a bit of reflecting, all three of us. So now we're at the halfway point in the fantasy season. Looking back, knowing what you know now, would you have chosen the same player as your first pick? If not, then who? Or is there anything you would have changed from your strategy?
Martin picked first in our league, so I'll let Martin go first in this one.
Jonathan Taylor, 101. Thankfully, I've not been stung as badly from Taylor's kind of poor performance and injuries, because I managed to get a trade away to bring in Dalvin Cook, who I'm much, much happier with. But if I could have my time over again, if I could pick at the 101, in hindsight, I would take Justin Jefferson, the best player in football.
Kieran?
Hard to disagree there. My first pick was Najee Harris. An absolute disaster, right? And there's going to be some people watching this saying you had your chance. I would take Saquon Barkley. He's been a rock star this year. He's bounced back when nobody thought he would. Alongside the Giants and alongside Dayboy, he's been fantastic. He's been a solid pickup, and I think through the first 6-7 weeks of the season, he was the only consistent running back who was putting up solid numbers. So for me, I pushed it and I pushed it and I pushed it on a podcast. When push came to shove, I didn't pick him up. But nah, for me, if I was to take again, it would be Saquon Barkley. What about you, Shug? Who did you pick up first?
For me, I took the cheetah early doors. I was criticised. Listen, I was criticised. A lot of people said I could maybe even got him second round pick, which is potentially true, but I wasn't willing to take that chance. I went on about the cheetah for ages. He has not let me down. Now, should he have been my first pick? Don't know, but it's worked out really well for me, and I'm sticking with it. I've had a lot of decent players I've picked up. I've done a lot of trading, lost some good guys, but I've also got CMC in there, so I can't really complain with the weapons I've got right now in my team. Might still be doing a wee bit of trading, but if I'd go back, Cheetah's still my first name on the team sheet.
Yeah, talking about weapons, Shug, we've got Toasty in the comments again. He said that Martin doesn't even still have his first pick.
I did say that. I traded him away to Toasty for Dalvin Cook, and I think we can all agree who got the better end of that deal.
Yeah. We've had another comment as well come in saying Goddard has been consistent without setting the header in fire. The Sasa Papic of Philly. Goddard has been a solid tight end this year, no doubt about it. I hope he has a terrible game tonight because it's down to Devonta Smith against Goddard for me in my game against number 1 Jordan. It could be a big win for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's a really good comment there about Goddard. Just after we were talking, obviously, about Zach Ertz earlier in the show. Ertz was the guy in Philly, wasn't he? He was absolutely fantastic. He was Mr. Consistent, and then they drafted Goddard, developed him under Ertz, alongside Ertz on the field a lot, and then Philly just saw, we can get rid of the older guy and go ahead with Goddard. And I don't think anybody expected him to be this good, this consistently. As a Cowboys fan, it really pains me to say it, but he's one of my favourite tight ends in football. And Dallas were this close to drafting him as well. What a replacement for Jason Witten he'd have been.
You've got Dalton Schultz.
We do, but Dallas Goddard's better.
Fair enough.
Can't argue with that.
Guys, speaking of people that we've not expected to do well, every week on the Thursday we pick a start 'em, sit 'em. Now, what we're experiencing right now is the Shuggy curse. Every week I seem to be picking somebody, and every week without fail they have a nightmare. This week's example, Geno Smith. We all spoke about it. Kieran, I think you were in agreement with me. It was a good shout. No, didn't really do it, did he? Before that, we had names such as, all right, I picked him as a joke, but we had Rex Burkhead in there. Russell Wilson, I tipped for glory one week, and he was getting hounded at the stadium. Is this curse real? How do we break the curse?
You tell us.
Well, the thing is, I could easily break the curse by, I could try and break it by picking an obvious one, but then that would probably curse them.
You need to pick the cheetah. Put your money where your mouth is.
I'm not cursing the cheetah, right? But as we've said, we try and pick some ones that are a bit out there. Now, we are by no means expert. There's things we've called, but there's a lot of things we've got wrong. And some of my startums recently have been absolutely horrendous. So the curse continues.
I'm starting to think you're a witch doctor. Remember you called Russell Wilson when he was playing on a Thursday night? Woke up the next day and had an absolute disaster. It was a meme when I woke up in the morning. I was like, I can't believe we need to release this podcast.
I didn't even look at I usually will get up in the morning for the late game. I'll usually get up in the morning and check out the highlights or whatever. This one I just went straight to, just typed into Google and before I could even see the score, I just seen Russell Wilson booed off the field. And I thought, what a shout that is.
Unbelievable from you, mate.
But listen,
to even pick Russell Wilson in the first place.
I know, but listen, I thought he'd maybe turn it round. I put a bit of faith in him, and he let me down. But listen, while we break the curse, I won't be going for any obvious ones. I'll still be trying to beat me. I'll still be throwing in a few wild cards like Rex Burkhead. Let's see where that takes us.
We're right behind you, mate. Pick one of my opponent's players next week.
Anyway, guys, Kieran, we get any other questions, any other comments?
Let me have a wee look.
Guys, if you've got anything, just send it in. Keep the chat going for us. As we've said, like, share, subscribe, get involved.
Yeah, there's not too much to cover in there at the moment. But, yep, keep them coming. Thank you very much for everyone that's commented so far.
We've actually got another one. Oh, sorry, that's just coming in from earlier. We're going to finish off with a nice little riddle. So, the game of the riddles, the Calvin Riddler.
Let's do this.
I've got 3 riddles, similar to the way we played last time. 3 riddles, so you can get them first. I'm going to say a little clue. You have to work out what player that is. You ready?
Go for it.
Go for it.
First riddle is level, smelly, incline.
Tyreek Hill.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, man. That is absolutely terrible.
We maybe gave it away by Dave flashing up earlier, so
I
forgot about that.
That was totally my fault. I was leaning on my keyboard and it just went off and I was like, no!
It was telepathy from Shug.
Quick start there. Next one. News flash into bed.
Headboard.
News flash into bed.
News flash breaking. News flash. News flash into bed. This is a tough one. If anyone wants to fire it in fact, I'm not going to look at the comments. That's unfair. But fire it into the comments if you've got it, and we'll go back on them. News flash into bed.
Toasty was right off the mark with this one. He's got it already.
Not even slightly surprised by that one.
I know.
News flash into bed. What would you say when there's a news flash? What would they say?
Breaking news.
Nah.
Alert.
What happens if the news has just come in?
It's breaking.
Nah.
That is Shug.
Well, it is, I'm not disagreeing with you. It is breaking news. What would the presenter say if he's on live and news comes in while he's on live?
Justin Jefferson.
Yep. Nope.
Justin Fields.
Justin into Fields. Bed. What do we do into bed?
Justin
what would you do to somebody into bed?
Justin Tucker.
Justin Tucker. Very good. One each. This is the decider. This is for the championship.
Justin Tucker.
You ready?
Yes.
Go for it.
French Stevie looking for treasure.
Stephon Diggs.
Oh, yes,
man. He was rapid, man.
No hanging about, Martin. Well done. Winner tonight.
Well played, Kyran. Well played, mate.
I know. You're a deserved winner, but at least I'm not rock bottom of the league.
No need. I was being nice.
Jamie's now come in. Toasty's come in with a comment here. There's more panelists than brain cells in here. Jeez, oh.
He's not wrong.
Fair enough.
Quite rich coming for a Partick Thistle fan, but it's been a good night, guys.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. Brilliant. Enjoyed that. Once again, big thanks to producer Dave. At times he falls asleep, but in general, graphics, everything looks tremendous, doesn't it?
9 out of 10 this week.
What a job he does.
But Martin, Martin, fantastic guest, mate. Fountain of knowledge.
Yeah, Martin.
Thanks for having us, guys. Always good fun.
And guys, thanks a lot for your comments, for your questions. And as we've said, get subscribing, share it in all your group chats. Let's see the numbers we can get in. Really enjoy doing the live ones so that we can get these questions, get us interactions. But join us again later in the week.